Okay, everyone, so show your hand if you're a TA. So I only have TAs in the room. Everyone else, you do not have to remain. This is for teaching assistants. And I am going to hand you over now to your ELMS-Canvas training.
Hello, good morning. My name is Marianne Santos, and I am a Learning Management System Specialist here at University of Maryland. Learning Management System Specialist is just a big way of saying all things Canvas. So I am your Canvas person for any questions that you have. We also have a team that focuses on third-party tools that integrate with it. I'll be going over the basics of ELMS-Canvas. My contact information is on this screen, but I will also be sharing this presentation so that you can access if you have any additional questions.
Yes, also, this is being recorded, and so we'll distribute the presentation afterwards. Make sure that you have it as well. We will tell you afterwards. There's so many resources out there. This is just the basics. If you want to go further into it, a lot of tools that you can make accessible to you that you're going and accessing more about it.
In addition, we do have actual trainings where we go deeper into the different things I'm going to be talking about today. And then I will also share the recordings to that as well. It was last week, so if you didn't get a chance to participate in that, I'll be sharing that as well. So we will be covering what is ELMS-Canvas, how to access ELMS-Canvas, top 5 things to know, and we're going to do a slight gradebook dive, and then some additional resources that may be helpful for you. So I know some of you are in the room and not in the room, but I just want to gauge like what is your experience with Canvas. If you could just give me a 1, you could just use your hands, or if you're in Zoom, I won't be able to see it, but if you're 1, if you're completely new to ELMS-Canvas, a 2, I've used it as a student only, and 3, I've used it in an instructional role before, and if you're a combination, you could do 5, which is like a 2 and 3 together. So I see 3s, I see 2s, I got 5s. Okay, we got a good mix here. And there are some additional things that you may not know, even though I'll consider you an expert for the 5. A little bit more of things to go. Well, not too much of an expert, but at least you have an experience on both sides. All right, so what is ELMS-Canvas? So ELMS is an acronym for Enterprise Learning Management System. It's just a big way of saying it's a learning management system. That's what we call it here at University of Maryland. And regardless of what platform we have, it will always be called ELMS because we like to rename things here. Okay. And you'll also hear Canvas. Canvas is the platform that we use for our enterprise learning management system. So sometimes you'll hear people say ELMS, some people will say Canvas, some people will say ELMS-Canvas, but they're all the same. And sometimes you might see this name Instructure. Instructure is the company that owns Canvas. So when you are getting help or support, you may see the name Instructure because their guides, their help tools will say Instructure on it as well. So have you heard like anyone here who didn't realize the different names of ELMS-Canvas, or you're like, oh, I already knew that? Okay. So to access ELMS-Canvas, you will go to elms.umd.edu. And I have a little animation here, but I'm going to explain it. To see the courses that you have, you will go to courses, and then you're going to select all courses. And this is where you can see all of the roles that you have in specific courses. And I'm going to demonstrate that here for a minute. So let me see if I can move this here. I'm already signed in to my Canvas account. Mine's going to look different because we all have different access to different courses. But for the most part, you'll see everything that's a published course is at the top, and anything unpublished will be at the bottom. But these are not all of your courses. Sometimes you'll see more of them here on the left-hand side. On the left-hand side, you'll see this red bar, and we call this a global navigation. That means wherever I am inside a Canvas, this red bar will always be there. And when you go into a course, you'll have another navigation, but it's only specific to your course. So I'm going to select here courses, and then I'm going to select all courses. Here you'll see a list of all the courses that you're enrolled in, but it's regardless if you're a teacher, a student, or any other role. You can tell by looking on the enrolled as a column to see what courses you have. On the left-hand side, there are these stars. Anything that is orange favorited will show up in your dashboard. So I have several course spaces here, but I don't want to have to see them all the time. So I recommend going through that list and selecting what is favorited, what is not, so that all you have to do when you go to your dashboard, you see the courses that you want. The other thing I'm going to mention here is that if you notice that you are missing a course that you need to be added to, you will need to contact your department chair or your scheduler for your department to make sure that you are listed correctly. So if you don't see it here, it may be because of PHR or because there was a scheduling issue. So make sure you check that. Any questions about the courses before I move on to the next part? All right. One more thing I'm going to show here in the dashboard. Once you've selected the courses that you want to show here first, because this is the first page you'll get to when you sign in, you can also click and drag the tiles to rearrange them if you want a particular order and so that you can find them more quickly. So that is how you would use the dashboard. In addition, there are multiple ways to get support when you're in Canvas. On the home page, you have the 24/7 chat support. This support goes directly to Canvas, the company instructor. So they can help you for the most part on anything Canvas related, but if it's specific to University of Maryland, they can send you to us, or there is also additional links that they give you as well so that they can help you fix any problems that you have. You can also access it from the help menu in the global navigation. And we also have how-to guides on the dashboard. The last thing I want to highlight is this little question mark on the right. So I didn't get to update this screen grab, but it's now red on the side. Before it was in the way whenever someone wanted to click next or submit. So we were able to fix that and move it out of the way. But what's great about this specific support is that when you click on it, it knows where you are inside a Canvas and gives you specific guides and how-to on that page that you're in. So I'm on the dashboard, so it gives me a get started. If I'm in the gradebook, it's going to give me information for the gradebook and so on. But if you can't find what you need, you could email IT support at University of Maryland, do a phone call with Canvas, or do a chat. So these are all great resources for you if you're ever stuck anywhere inside a Canvas. Okay, top 5 things to know. So I'm just going to put them all up here. Announcements is a way for you to give announcements. So there's like reminders that you can send to students and it can show up at the top of their page, so you give them reminders. This is not the same as sending an email to your students, but if the students have their notifications turned on, they'll get an email notification letting them know that there is an announcement or an assignment and so on. The most popular 2 things that you'll most likely be working on is assignments and grading, which I will go into further in a demonstration. But assignments is a way where you can create, edit assignments, and this is including discussions, quizzes, or any external tools that you use for grading. And then, of course, you're going to be dealing with grading. So there is a feature called Speed Grader that allows you to see all student submissions, and you can look at each one at a time, and you can even shuffle through one student to another and grade. I used to be a K-12 teacher, and I used to take stacks of papers home all the time. So I think of SpeedGrader as a digital version of my stack of papers, and I can move from one student to another, annotate, and give feedback. And then my favorite feature here is called Student View. Anything that is published inside of your course, and you want to make sure the students are seeing what you want to see, you can select Student View to see what the student experience is like. If you forgot to publish something, it will not be visible here. So you can make sure that how you organize your course is working. The only thing with Student View is that you cannot test to see how an external tool works. For example, if you are using lockdown browser, you can't see what it's like for as a student because it's looking for a real student. This account is a fake student. And then of course, there are several tools available. In the how to basics document that I've created, we have additional links on how to use Design Plus, Panopto, Turnitin, and Lockdown Browser, and even Gradescope. I just added that, Sam, for you, the Gradescope on there. And if you want to know more of that, there are guides on that. So let's talk about the grading and assignments. So these are some things I'm going to cover here, but I'm going to demonstrate it here inside of my course. So I have a course here that I call ELMS Basics. When you go into your course, I'll minimize this, it may have content already from the professor that you are working with, or it may be completely blank. Mine here is just blank, and I just want to give you a little walkthrough of how this page looks like. So again, I mentioned the global navigation, which is that red bar, and it will be there wherever you are. And the second column is called the course navigation. These are all of the pages that are available for this specific course. And you'll notice that some have this little icon with a slash through it, and some that don't. The ones that do not means that it is visible for your students. Things that do have it means it's not visible to your students. And if you go to settings at the very bottom, you can reorganize this by going to settings and then select navigation at the top. Then here, everything on the top of the list means it's visible. Anything below means it's not. So if you realize I do want I want to use modules and I want to make that visible for students, I can either click and drag it to the top, or I can click the three dots and select enable. And now you can see modules is down here, and I can rearrange the order as well. If I realize, oh, I don't need to use attendance, or I don't need to use top hat, just click the three dots and disable it. But any changes you make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom and select save. So now it's rearranged. Right now, I don't have anything in my module, so that's why it's not visible. Once I put things in there, it is visible for my students. All right, so let's talk about creating an assignment. So there are 3 types of assignments. Assignments, which are just submission type. There are quizzes and discussions. Quizzes and discussions have their own page, if I can find discussions. Oops, I'm not used to using a PC. Discussions. There we go. I have discussions here at the top. If I want to look at all the discussions in my assignments, I will go to discussions. If I want to look at all of the quizzes in my course, I can go to quizzes. But if I want to look at everything, discussion, quizzes, submission, I will go to the assignments page. Now I already have an assignment in here, but there are what we call assignment groups. So if you want to organize your assignments, like these are all independent work, these are all discussions or quizzes or so on, you can do that by creating an assignment group. And if you need to have different weights on different groups, this is where you will go to edit the assignment group weights. I'll turn this on for a minute. So for example, assignments in the assignments group could be 20%. Discussions could be another 20%. And then the remaining 60, 60 will be quizzes. So always make sure it's equal to 100% if you are doing weighted groups. So I'm going to go ahead and click save, and you can see each assignment group is there. To create an assignment, I will select the plus assignment on the top right. And I'm just going to do basic creating an assignment for today. Always give it a title. And the box below is called the rich content editor. That means it's a text box and I can put any type of multimedia or hyperlinks in it. So this is normally where you put your directions, any links, any videos that you want your students to have. Then below that is called the assignment details. How many points you want it out of, what's the assignment group. So it automatically gave me assignments. So if I want to change it, I can choose it here. And how you want the points to be displayed. For today's example, I'm going to be doing submission type online. So this is where you can change the type of submission you want your students to have. And I'm going to do today's example is online. And then you have multiple options. There is text entry where they will just have a text box and they can respond. They can send a URL to you. Or if you want them to do a media recording, they can record straight inside the assignment. They have access to a media recorder, or they can upload their own. Student annotation requires you to have an actual PDF for students to annotate. So I don't have one for today's example, but if you did, you have to provide one. And the most popular one is file uploads. This is where students will upload a document to you, and you can even restrict it to the type of file. So if you only want students to give you a Word doc, you need to write docx. If you want them to give you a PDF only, you can type in PDF. Or if you're going to allow multiple, you just separate them with commas. You have also an option on how many attempts. And if you do want to use Turnitin, this is how you will enable it under the plagiarism review. And if I do Turnitin, I'm going to click Turnitin. And then you can select the options that you want if you are having this, the submissions to go through Turnitin. You have an option also for the group assignment or peer review, which I will not be able to cover today, but we do have resources on that. But the most important one I want to explain here is the assign access. So normally you will assign this assignment to everyone, and you can give students a due date. So for example, this assignment is due, let's just say the 5th at 11:59. Students can still submit after this due date because it's just a due date, and it will just mark in the gradebook whether a student has submitted something late after the due date. But if you want to restrict students from being able to submit before a time and after a time, that is what available from is. So for example, this is due on the 5th, but I don't want them to access it until tomorrow. And then even though it's due on the 5th, I'm gonna allow them to keep submitting until the 6th. So this just means that students can access this assignment only from August 29, 12 a.m. to September 6, 11:59 p.m. If students try to submit after September 6, 11:59, they cannot. So that is the difference. And in the gradebook, it will just highlight what is turned in after the due date. And you can even mark whether it will automatically deduct points depending on how long or how late they submitted. If you realize that students already submitted their work, and then you realize that a student needed an extension, do not make changes to the original assignment, because if you do, all your student submissions will disappear. So to get it back, if you do that by accident, just put everyone back. And then if another student comes in and you want to give an extension or change the rules for that specific student, click add assign to, and then I don't have students in this course, but I will just pick that specific student's name and then give them, down here, give that specific student's name and then give them a different due date and a different availability. So always do the add assign if you're gonna give an extension or different accommodations for that specific student. Any questions about this assign access? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and click save. I'll cancel for now, this is just a test one. So that is creating an assignment and going in to make changes to the assignment access. But I'm gonna go over here to this side because I already have this sample course with students. I have a lot of test assignments in here, but I do have an example one on here. Sorry, I have so many. Okay, we're just gonna use this one as an example. And I'm gonna go and view as student. So this is normally, oops, let me edit the assignment real quick. I changed it to no submission. Click save. Okay. From the student view, because I gave them the ability to upload, they will go ahead and upload their file. And I forgot I'm using someone else's computer, so I don't have a file to put in here. But we're gonna imagine that they submitted it, and anything that they submit will automatically turn into a PDF in the speed grader. So let me come back to this assignment here. Sorry, I have another one. I forgot I'm using someone else's computer, so I don't have my example ready. This is what I'm gonna do. Okay, so this one does have an example. Okay. So once students have submit, I will go to speed grader of that specific assignment. And I could see which students have submitted and which students haven't. This one had an example. What is that showing? Okay, let me do a new one. There we go. Confetti. Now I have a submission. Okay. So I have this student, they submitted their work. It automatically comes in a PDF regardless of the format they submitted to you. But for this example, it's not showing here, but if you want the original document, it will show here under submitted. And you can download if you want the original document. From here, you can go ahead and give a grade. And once you put in the grade, it will automatically save. But if you give a comment, you need to click submit in order to save. So make sure you paying attention where you are putting information. Grades will automatically save. Comments need to be submitted to save. And while I'm here, you can also use the annotate features if you want to give a comment specific to inside the document. Great job. You can give additional feedback and the students can go in and see your feedback and they can reply back to you and you can have a conversation back and forth based on the type of work you are giving feedback on. And you can always go to a specific student. Anything that's grade means there's no submission. Anything that has an orange dot, that means they have submitted something, it's not graded yet. And let me put this one, I'll give the student 10. If it has a green check, that means you have graded that student. Now, let's take a look at the grade book. By default, whenever you go to the gradebook page, the course navigation is collapsed. So if you ever need to go back somewhere, you'll need to click the 3 lines at the top to expand the course navigation, or if you don't need it, you can hide it. So by default, when going to the gradebook, it will hide that so that you can have more space depending also, how much assignments you have. Anything that is published will have, that is published and there's no submissions will look like this example I have here on the screen, assignment group 2. And anything with a dash means null. That means there is no grade, there's no 0, there's nothing. If there is a submission, it will have this little paper icon. And that means you need to go in and grade. And of course, if there is a number, that is the grade that has been given. The colors coordinate to when they have submitted. So if it is red, that means they have either submitted it late or it's past the due date, there is no submission, or if there is a submission, it will also be the color for that. You can also decide how you want the colors to coordinate by going to the gear on the top right. And there's an option called View Options. And it will show you anything blue is late, anything this reddish color is missing. If they resubmitted is green, dropped, excused, and you can also customize the colors to fit your needs. While I'm also in the settings, it's also important to note the grade posting policy. I have mine automatically on for automatically post grades, and this is defaulted for all courses, unless the instructor has made changes to it. This means anytime you put that grade in the speed grader or in the grade book, the students will get an automatic notification that their assignment has been graded. So if you put in a 5 and then 2 seconds later you have a 6, they'll get a notification for that 5. But when they go in, they'll see that it's been changed and updated. Or if you want to do manually post grades, it will automatically hide all the assignments in the grade book, and then you will need to go in and individually unhide each one. And I'll show you how to do that in a moment. The last setting here is late policy. So if you wanted to automatically deduct from the grade based on their late submission, you have that option here at the bottom. So right now, all of my courses are, all of my assignments are viewable unless they're unpublished. But if they are hidden, let me just hide this one. I think everyone's on Canvas today. There we go. It will have this little eye icon to let you know that it is hidden from your students. And when you are ready for them to see their grades, you can click the 3 dots and then select Post Grades. And that's how you will unhide the grades. And the other option I want to show you here is apply filters. So if you have a class with multiple students, you can filter it by, I don't have sections in this one, but you can filter it by section. So if you have access to everyone in that course and there are 5 different sections, you can also pick and choose which one you want to look at and not have to see all 300 or however many students that you have. You can also search by the students or by the specific assignment, and you can filter those out in there. Okay, so I have also for you, I will be sharing this in the resources, but here is a quick guide on the basics, and if you want to learn more specifically how to do announcements, the different types of assignments, if you want to learn more about the gradebook and student view and the different types of tools available that's already integrated into Canvas, we have resources in here. And I think I did good on time. But I thank you, and I'm here for any questions that you have specific to Canvas, and your feedback is greatly appreciated if you can provide your feedback on how I did. And that's it. Yes. So it's depending on what the accommodation is. So for example, quizzes. If you have a time test and you want to set an accommodation for, well, let's say your test time limit is 60 minutes, but a student has an accommodation for time and a half. If you use new quizzes, there is a accommodation feature. And go back to dashboard. In quizzes, and once you set it for the first quiz, it will copy over for every other quiz, if you're using new quizzes. If you're using the old version called Classic, you will have to use a tool called Quiz Extensions. For assignments, like how they need an extended deadline, you will have to do that manually for every single assignment. No problem. Any other questions? Everyone thinks they're not gonna have any problems, especially with grading. No one's gonna argue about their grade. No. But yeah, that's all, and I'll stay here for a little longer if anyone has specific questions. They don't wanna have to say it out loud. I'll be in that corner. Thank you.
Okay, so your mandatory in-person training is over. You survived. You're more confused than when you came in, some of you, but that's okay. I'll be around and I will be happy to answer any of your questions. I am in 1100, which is on the first floor, but I'll stay right here. So if you have questions, feel free to come up. If you want to say hi, you can do that too. And have a good day. I know I'll be hearing from some of you and we'll be exchanging a lot more emails over this semester and next spring. So good luck and enjoy it. Thank you.